text itself after all the introductions we did for the Kuzari book. Okay, so we'll start reading inside and give commentaries about what Rabbi Levi wants to teach us. So he begins, I was asked to provide refutations to those philosophies and religions that differ from ours, including those sects of Judaism that dissent from traditional Judaism. So the sects that he is referring to are as the Karaites, who follow only the written Torah, not the oral. That will be mentioned much later in the third essay. Okay, so we said that Rabbi Levi realized that there are different philosophies, religions that are doubting the Judaism altogether, and there's a requirement to find answers and to argue against those doubts. This made me remember the arguments of the rabbi who studied with the Khazar king, who converted to Judaism some 400 years ago. So that means 1,200 years ago. Okay. The king's story is faithfully recorded in history books. So there are documents discussing that. It begins with the king having a recurring dream of an angel who appears to him and tells him, your intentions are desirable to the Creator, but your deeds are not. Okay, but not your deeds. If you remember, with our introduction to the Kuzari book, we discussed the value and meaning of dreams altogether, and we talked about the definition of emunah. Okay, so all that was in order to understand here, because Rabbi Levi here mentions it just by the way, that there appears a dream. But if you recall what we discussed about the meaning and importance of dreaming in our life and their interpretation of those dreams, so you understand how what Rabbi Levi is hinting here by mentioning that there was a dream and that it repeated itself many times. So when Rabbi Levi, when this king, Gentile king of Khazar, receives this dream repeatedly, okay, with this message that his intentions are desirable to the Creator, but his deeds are not, what does he understand by it? What will you understand by such a message?
That he's not acting according to his own belief, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
He understands it better, but he doesn't do it wholly. Understands?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Hirsch?
The king of the Khazars comes to Rabbi Levi to convert.
No, he didn't go to Rabbi Levi because Rabbi Levi lived 400 years after. Okay, he was a rabbi. We don't know exactly who that rabbi was, but that is not that important. What is important is the content of the message and the answers that the rabbi gives the Khazar king. But right now our question is focusing on the dream that repeated itself many times, telling him your intentions are desirable to the Creator, but your deeds are not. What would you understand from such a message?
So he has good intentions, but the results of those intentions are not as good.
Repeat again.
He said he has good intentions, but the results of those the actions behind that come after those intentions are not so good.
Right. Okay, and what would you do if you receive such a message?
That I need to do teshuvah and do tikkun midot.
Again, but what are we looking for?
What he did wrong?
If the message is your deeds are not desirable to the Creator. So what am I seeking for?
Guidance. Guidance.
I can't hear.
Guidance.
Guidance.
Someone who
Right, but for what?
How to act better.
To act better according to the creator is satisfied with the deeds of the king himself. Like he needs a teacher.
Okay, I agree, but again, he receives the message. Your intentions are correct. Your deeds are not. So what am I looking for? Just from the message. What's the topic? You have intentions and deeds. What am I looking for?
For the deeds.
The deeds. Okay?
We're trying to see the disparity between his intentions and the actions that follow consequently after those intentions, and trying to see the difference between them.
Okay, so now we have to analyze, is there a distinguish between intentions and deeds?
Yes. There's a clear difference.
Okay, but in Judaism, can we distinguish and separate the deeds from the intention?
Perhaps, I'm not sure.
I'm
not well learned enough.
Yes.
I'm ignorant of this.
When we follow commandments, do commandments necessary need intention behind them, or I can do them automatically?
We're supposed to do the mitzvot and afterwards we may understand them and understand the intention behind them.
I'm saying no, but again, I'm not talking about the deepest meaning and understanding behind every mitzvah that you do.
Yeah.
But
well, we are supposed to do the mitzvot anyway.
I agree. Again, I agree, but do I need to have the minimum of intention behind a mitzvah I'm doing, or not?
Yeah, we're supposed to have the intention behind it.
Aha. Okay. For instance, if I'm teaching my son how to lay tefillin on, okay, and it's morning time, meaning it's time, it is possibly the time to lay tefillin on, okay? However, I don't have the intention now to fulfill my own obligation, my own mitzvah of laying tefillin on. I just want to teach my son how to lay tefillin on. Can I show him with the reciting the blessings, but not having the intention to fulfill the mitzvah, and therefore I did not fulfill the mitzvah? Or automatically, if I did it, then it's considered that I fulfilled the mitzvah. Okay, so the answer to that question is that you must have intention. So therefore, if I had no intention to fulfill the mitzvah, I was just rather teaching technically my son how to lay tefillin on, I did not fulfill a mitzvah. Therefore, we learn from here, from this example, that mitzvot require intention. Okay? By the way, it's stated in halakha, okay, that mitzvot require intention. There are many or some mitzvot that you will perform even without thinking, and it still be counted, it still be considered. But all in all, in the ideal, and like in this example that I just gave, you see that it requires intention. Okay, so therefore, especially in Judaism, you can't separate the deed from the intention.
Even if the deed is bad while the intention is good?
That would be a misinterpretation or of the correct deed, or okay, something like that. All right, so the king receives through the dream a very, very deep message, okay, from the soul, from the Shem, that his whole concept, his whole perspective, his whole orientation of reality is wrong. Okay, meaning there's something very, very deep in reality with the heart, with the intention that is he succeeds to listen to, but to translate it, to practice it in reality, to translate it into reality, that he fails again and again. So the first thing that the king of Kuzari does in reaction to this message that his deeds are not desirable by the Creator, what is his first reaction? His first reaction is, I'll do better with my deeds. Okay, what deeds? The deeds that I'm familiar with, the deeds that are in my own religion. So, keeping on reading here in the text, the king had become deeply engrossed in the Kuzari religion. I mean, that's what he's familiar with. That's how he was raised. That's his religion. So he said, okay, I received the message that my deeds are not okay. So I'll adopt and change or add to my deeds. So I'll make them better. Okay. So the king had become deeply engrossed in the Kuzari religion, to the point where he himself would administer in the Kuzari shrines and tend to the sacrifices, which he did with a full heart. Okay, so this is a idol worshipping shrine or in religion that he's familiar with, and he received the message that his deeds are wrong. So he says, okay, I'll improve my deeds. How? Practicing what I'm familiar with. What am I familiar with? This idol-worshipping religion that I was raised in. Okay, so that was his first reaction to that message from his dream. However, what happens? But even though he would become involved with these rites, he would still be visited in a dream at night by the angel, who would continue to tell him, your intent is desirable, but your deeds are not. What does a person do at this stage, after receiving such a message, after trying so hard to improve his deeds, and still receiving the same answer, your intentions are desirable, but your deeds are not. What should a person do now, next?
Introspection into their actions to see what they can do to improve what they're doing.
So how? Give us a suggestion.
They must ask themselves, what is it that I'm doing that displeases the Creator, and if He displeases this, what should I do else? And will that please Him, or will it displease Him? And have like a little
Explore
dialectic.
other
Yeah.
beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I mean, that's what he did.
So you're saying something like in science. You try, experiment.
Well, just do research on your own about other known religions.
Okay.
This is what it says.
Yeah.
On the page.
Absolutely. Yeah. All right. So this prompted the king to explore other belief systems and religions. Ultimately, the king, together with a great populace of Khazars, converted to Judaism. Many of the rabbis' arguments have given me peace of mind and are in accord with my own thinking. Okay, so Rabbi Yehuda Halevi here accepts many of the recordings of the rabbi in a dialogue with the king of Khazar. However, he is not relying on it altogether, word by word. Rabbi Yehuda Halevi is flexible and has the freedom and independence, if he wishes, to add, to change, to edit anything in the content in these recordings. Okay, meaning Rabbi Yehuda Halevi has the responsibility and the authority to do this. I have therefore decided to record the arguments in dialogue form, okay, which is what's popular at that time and popular in philosophy books, as they were originally presented. Hopefully, prospective readers will gain much understanding from them. In a translation from in Hebrew, says there that the wise people will understand, okay, so meaning that it's a quote from a verse in Daniel. Okay, but the wise people, the ones, the scholars that will study this book in depth, will understand truly what this is all about. Okay, because just reading it literally and claiming that you understand is not enough. Okay, there's in between the lines, the commentaries, the interpretations that demand deeper understanding. Okay, so after receiving this message again and again that his deeds are not the desirable to the Creator, and realizing that by improving his deeds with his own religion, even though he's bringing offerings to this idol worshipping shrine, is not enough. Okay, telling him that his intentions are desirable but his deeds are not. that forces him to reconsider his whole perspective on his practice. Now, since he is not familiar with other religions or theories and philosophies, as you mentioned before, he will need to ask guidance and help from external sources. When the king realized through his dreams that his intent was desirable to the Creator, but that his actions were not, he inferred that he should search out alternate religious activity that would be favored by the Creator. He therefore asked a prominent philosopher of his time about his faith. So before beginning with the philosopher, we have to understand the logic of why the king of Kuzari wants to even begin with the philosopher. As you know, the frame of the book, that the dialogue is beginning with the philosopher, and then later on with the Christian scholar and the Muslim scholar, and only after that, the rest of the book is the dialogue with the rabbi. The question is, from those three options, meaning the Christian, Muslim, and philosophy, why did the Kuzari king begin his dialogue and research through philosophy? Why did he approach him first? I mean, and it all goes back to the question, what is the king seeking? His dream told him, your intentions are desirable to the Creator, your deeds are not. So he is seeking for the correct deeds. And when you approach a philosopher, you have to ask yourself, do they have deeds in philosophy?
Not really.
Not really.
They talk.
Okay, it's a lot of theory and thought. There are no deeds. So why are you approaching philosophy first? Any ideas? No ideas. Oh,
Not really.
not really. Well, the king of Kuzari is a very rational individual, very intellectual, and this dream rocked his world. Okay, since he's a king, he has a kingdom, he has responsibility and authority, and a kingdom to take care of. He can't, just because of a dream, react in a this extreme way and change and shift his whole life, because it has an impact not only on himself and on his whole kingdom. And as a good king, he has responsibility and he wants the best for his kingdom and for his civilians. And so in order to make a change, he has to be certain that this dream is true. This dream makes sense. Because otherwise, okay, why would I get overexcited over a dream and change my whole life just for a dream? But since he has this feeling inside, strong feeling inside, that this dream is not just a dream, something much more deeper and has a deep meaning, and he is mostly convinced that this dream is not just a weird imagination, rather it is a message from Hashem. But since he is not totally convinced, or he is trying rationally to explain this message, so he rather prefers to approach a philosopher who are very intellectual, very rational, and analyze everything and define everything as much as they can, pure intellect. And that's what he wants here. He realizes that the process that he went through up to here, from receiving the dream, trying to put it in action with his own religion, with his own deeds that he's familiar with, receiving the same answer that his deeds are not desirable to the Creator. Okay, so then he has to seek for guidance from external sources. But he says, wait, maybe I have to look this all together again and think about if this dream makes sense, and if there is such a thing as the desirable intentions and desirable actions according to a Creator. In a way, deep inside, subconsciously, the king of Kuzari knows the answer and he knows the truth, but he's trying to avoid it. Okay? He's trying to avoid because it is going to make a very big shift and change in his life. And right now, he's not ready for it yet. Okay?
So he's trying to find teachers or philosophers who, instead of telling him what to do or what deeds he should do, like just to confirm that what he's doing right now,
the perspective and the intentions are correct.
Yeah.
Okay, one short, brief introduction about the philosopher. The philosopher here is not, okay, I'm emphasizing, is not representing a specific philosophy. Okay, some like to say that it's representing Plato or Socrates or Aristotle. Obviously, it has to do with those philosophers because those were the popular ones or dominating ones at the time. But yet, it is not representing specifically and necessarily a specific philosophy. Rather, it wants to give us the structure of philosophy altogether, the perspective of philosophy in general, where through it we will be able to see the differences between philosophers and the other religions, and philosophy and Judaism. And maybe even before that, also I want to add one other thing, very important. By Rambam, Maimonides, in his introduction to the Mishnah, to the Pirkei Avot, he's talking about the structure of the nefesh, okay, our mentality, our personality, and discusses our attributes, our characteristics, how to fix them. But all in all, he's stating that our soul, our nefesh, is one unit, okay, where we have our intellect, our imagination, and our willpower that includes in it all our characteristics. It is one organism that has different functionings. As the intellect has one functioning, one role, imagination has another, the willpower has another. But all in all, it's one unit that we need to harmonize them together to serve and to function, to serve Hashem and function as one harmony. Although those functionings are different and maybe even opposing one the other. So, as a Jew, okay, a Jewish soul has the demand to attach itself to the Eternal One. Okay, that's the Jewish soul has that all the time. But with that, we have our free will with coming through our evil inclination and our desires and unperfect characteristics, okay, that are dragging us to follow temptations or whatever. But all in all, that is something more external to our true being of our soul that is demanding to connect and have a bond with Hashem. So that's with the Jewish soul. But with the Gentile soul, they have a conflict. Okay, the Gentile soul has a conflict where on one hand, they do have the desire to relate and connect to the Eternal One. But on the other extreme, they have the attraction to chaos and anarchy. Because that contradiction is so strong, so powerful in the soul of a Gentile, the only solution they have is to give up on one of the functionings in our soul. So, okay, as we mentioned, we have our intellect, we have our emotions, okay, our characteristics, our imagination. In Judaism, we're required, we're demand to harmonize all of them and serve with all of them. Don't give up on any of them. But since the Gentile soul is not able to harmonize them and has this contradiction inside of him, then the Gentile world is divided basically into two. Okay? The religious and the philosophers or scientists. Okay? In other words, or they give up on their emotions or they give up on their intellect. Okay? So the religious people, they give up on their intellect. Okay? And they focus on their emotions. And scientists and philosophers, the opposite, they focus on their intellect, but they give up on their emotions. That's basically how the world is divided in the Gentile world. So basically what we're going to see here, when we're going to focus on the philosopher, is pure intellect. Later on, when we're going to focus on Christianity and Islam, it's going to focus on emotions. Huh?
Pure religion.
Pure, yeah.
Emotion.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, I think we'll end up with this for today.
Okay.
Yeah.